All right, as promised, welcome back. We want to continue our conversation into a new $400 million jet that could be gifted to President Trump by Qatar.
So we just heard from Chief Transportation Correspondent May Beeler about the plane and the fleet itself. So now we're going to touch on some of the legal questions surrounding this.
And for that, we want to bring in Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes. Khalif, good morning. We could go through a whole bunch of questions, but let's start with the big one. Is this even legal?
Absolutely not. Not even close. I mean, there are things that we can make light of. I mean, and some of the things that we've attempted to normalize with the Trump administration, I've said that before, we have to roll that back with the free speech violations, with a couple of things where the president is attempting to use executive powers to overreach to where Congress should go. But this is one that's crystal clear. I mean, let's look at what the language says. Article 1, Section 9. No title of nobility should be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office or profit of trust under them shall, without the consent of Congress, accept any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatsoever from any king, prince, or foreign state. There are so many clauses within there when you're reading that, like it's kind of like a prerequisite. So a couple of things. This person's in a office of trust, and well, obviously he's the president of the United States, being duly elected by the people, and so you would believe that's an office of trust. So you would check that box, and he holds that seat. No one else is holding it. So you check that box. He's in the United States. You can check that box. Congress haven't given consent since yesterday. I haven't seen that Congress took any action, so you can check that box. Well, what's in the emolument? It's in gift. It's any type of service or compensation. Also check that box. In anything from a foreign state. Well, we know this is a foreign state. So literally every box in here that you would check, if you're saying I have a checklist of things I want to pack in my bag before I go on vacation, well, you can put this on vacation. He's checked every single box to let you know that you cannot do this, but yet somehow we're still saying that there's a possibility that we can find a workaround. When you have Pam Bondi actually coming out and saying, well, we're figuring out the legal process now, but they will accept this. I'm trying to figure out what part of the Constitution they're reading that allows them to do it, because this is not the section.
Well, so that's the emolument clause that's in the Constitution for all of our friends keeping track at home. So we've talked about before with this administration trying to find legal loopholes of doing things. Do you see any loopholes here that they could conjure up to say, hey, this is legal?
This wouldn't be a loophole. This would be, those craters that you find in the bit of people's backyards, those sinkholes, and it's like, wow, that just happened, and your whole house fell in. That's what you would need, something that size for you to find a way around something that's literally in the plain writing of the Constitution. This isn't ambiguous. It isn't something that's like, all right, well, maybe you could do it. Our founding fathers knew that this would be a problem. Well, how did they know it? Because in Britain, they were doing this same thing. They were already doing this in Europe, that kings and monarchs were receiving gifts as favors from other foreign states, and they were like, well, we don't want to have this. Alexander Hamilton is the one that wrote this and said, we need to put this in there because this will divide us. This will allow us to create some mini monarchy, and we don't want to have that. No titles. We don't want dukes. We don't want kings. We don't want princes. But we also don't want foreign states attempting to influence our people in position of power, so they drafted it and put it in there. Oftentimes, we don't give the founders enough credit for what they woven in our Constitution, but they had already went through the bad part. That's why they came and founded this country based on a number of freedoms that now it seems like we're attempting to roll back step by step. And this is one of them that was clearly written to prevent what's exactly happening right now. A foreign state giving a gift that's not, some dual engine plane, but this is actually a $400 million palace in the sky. Just a tad bit like a gift to me.
So, Khalif, break this down for us, because say Trump says, okay, you know what? We're going to do it anyway. We'll deal with the legal ramifications later, because that is something this administration has done. We'll deal with it later. What would be the next step? Is there any legal action to prevent this? Because as May Beeler brought up, there's also a taxpayer concern, even though he says there's no taxpayer money. She brought up you'd have to retrofit this plane to even be Air Force One ready.
Not even just retrofit it, but you also got to sweep it to ensure that there's no foreign states that are eavesdropping on confidential conversations with the President of the United States. So even if we're not retrofitting it to make sure it's ready to go in the air, we still want to make sure that our secrets are being protected. We had Signalgate that was a problem with folks texting. Well, imagine if a foreign state has things that are in there like bugs and other things to be able to listen to these conversations within the president's, inner circle. But in terms of a precedent, it's already there. And his first term, President Trump attempted to take other gifts. There were other things that people filed claims against him. So there is a precedent with folks filing lawsuits. Blumenthal v. Trump, Crew v. Trump, those are two situations where folks had said, look, the president is taking gifts. One I think was a little far stretched. They were saying because he has a connection with his hotel chains and foreign folks stay in the hotel, that now he's somehow taking foreign gifts. I think that was a no-brainer. That's not the same exact thing as what they were trying to stop here. He owns a business. People will stay in that business, Americans or foreigners. You can't distinguish that as a gift, so they're going to book 1 million rooms to try to hide a foreign payment. I think that was a stretch, and the court kind of agreed as well. But in this other case, it was the exact same thing where Trump is saying, hey, I'm allowed to take a gift. It was a smaller type of gift, and they came back and said no. So first it would take someone that has standing, an American citizen that's saying there's a violation here, and that's all it would take is some type of watchdog group to bring that. And then you'd have a court attempt to implement an injunction against the president of the United States. None of these roads you want to go down. None of these are the alleys. If it's a dark alley in the middle of the neighborhood and you're like, I'm going down that one, this is what we're doing right now when we're saying we want to set up a fight between the president and the courts. And right now, the president is still trying to find a way to get around the defenses of the court.
Well, you also have a political career here, so we talk about making moves. Is this, and this isn't a done deal, we should say this is a proposal. Is this a way to maybe kind of get Boeing to get their act together and say like, okay, fine, we're going to deliver this plan?
I can say that he's always negotiating. He always understands the temperature and the pulse of the folks that are around him. And so if you have a business like Boeing, that stock numbers are already having issues, and you're saying you guys can't come up with the contract that you're supposed to, and the deadlines keep getting pushed back, well, I'll go to this other company. They can get it done for us. This whole other country will get it done for us. So now, as you mentioned, I think that's more of the angle here. But in terms of the proposal, one thing I do recognize about this president is that President Trump, when he's told he can't do something, it seems like he will double down and make sure that he does it anyway. And so while he has spoke about why not accepting a gift, I think he's warming up to the idea of trying to find a way to accept a gift.
The art of the deal. That's what we see. Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes here. Khalif, we appreciate your insight.